That's what's great about being human. You can actually update your thinking and get a new view. And yesterday I did that, and I'm thankful for that. People, they get smarter when they're on creatine. Brain works better. Why? Because there's more energy available in the cells. Cells can do what they need to do without restriction. Fantastic. Whey protein is one of the most bioavailable proteins in the world. Magnesium is an essential mineral that plays a crucial role in various bodily functions, and studies suggest it offers numerous health benefits, including improved sleep, mood, and blood sugar control. Additionally, magnesium may help reduce the risk of certain diseases such as heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. My supplement regimen, top of the list, baby. You know what it's going to be. Vitamin D technically isn't a vitamin. It's a prohormone, which is used to build other hormones. And it is good. I'm going to change my view slightly in the final thought, so this will be funny. You have to prioritize exercise and nutrition, okay? When you got those two things in place, then you want to start thinking about supplementation, all right? All right. We're in business. It's going to be a fun one. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of fun to be had. Yeah, buddy. Well, I hope you're having a good day out there. It's been one of them. So here we go. Per usual, we do sponsor Liquid Death. We like Liquid Death around here. We're big fans. The editor, Nathan, who's becoming a legend in my mind here, he put together a short that was just Liquid Death, me talking about Liquid Death, which was hysterical, if you know how it works. Like I cut the podcast, send it to him. He does the editing and then uploads it to YouTube without any kind of description or anything, and the shorts as well. So we get the podcast and 4 shorts, and he uploads it to YouTube. And then I go in there on Monday, the following week after cutting it, and I go in and watch the shorts and give them descriptions. And so I had no idea that he had done that. And I was just laughing. I was laughing hysterically. So that was a good thing. Good things are good. That's for sure. Liquid Death. Non-carbonated today. I like the carbonation better. It's a bit of a treat. Episode 32, my supplements. How arrogant of me just to talk about myself. But, it's kind of fun. It's funny, like if you were to just ask me offhand, we were chatting, you're like, how many supplements you take? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's like 3 or 4. It's more than that. How funny is that? I just didn't even know. But goal of this episode, satisfy your curiosity about what I take. If there was one. If you're not curious of that, then just don't listen. Cover a topic people are generally interested in. That is the second goal of this episode. And lastly, to have some fun. So people are generally interested in supplements, and we're going to talk about that. I thought it'd be interesting just to do that through the lens of here's what I take, and here's some things that I have taken, as opposed to, because you can't cover every supplement. There's so many out there. But over the years, I've taken a ton, and they'll take a lot, and we'll get into that. And I want to cover it lightly. I'm not trying to go in depth. Like if you're like, oh, I'm going to learn all about supplements and all the intricacies and and how they work mechanistically in the body and blah, blah, blah. No, this isn't about that. It's about having fun, about talking about supplements that I use and I think have value, and giving you my take on it. Okay. So there's a couple that I did highlight a little bit, but most of this is going to be off the cuff. So today's outline of topics, I had to say the Mediterranean South, updates from the audience. So this was going to be, it's questions from the audience, but there was some general feedback. It wasn't a question. I want to get that in there before we get started. So we're going to cover some things before we get into the specific supplements. My supplement regimen, that's what we'll kick things off. Cover the big hitters. So my supplement regimen, I'm just going to list the ones that I use. And then we'll get into some of the big hitters, some that I've retired over the years, and then we'll have some final thoughts. Haven't been too inspired on my final thoughts lately, so we'll see what happens today. I actually don't have any written down that are very inspiring, but I have something on there. I put this together yesterday. I like kind of putting it together the day before and then going through it the next day, because then sometimes I'm surprised, and who doesn't like to be surprised when it's good? Oh, man. What else can I say? Liquid Death is smooth. Updates. Here we go. Golf. Am I going to remember his name? I got Sheehan in my head right now. That's not his name. It's not Shearer either. It is Scheffler. That's his name. Magic. The magic came through. Scheffler. If you care about golf, then you know that he almost set a record, tied the record, I believe it was. I actually stopped watching before it was over. So I'm like, I'm more curious to watch people win if it's close. Seeing somebody set a record, that's cool, but I'm more interested in other things. But he was 31 under, which doesn't make any sense in golf. Pistons are out of the playoffs. I think I had heard, I didn't see one game, but I'm in Metro Detroit, so you hear what's going on. I heard they did fairly well, probably better than expected. And the UFL. I don't even know why I put this on here. Is anybody watching the UFL? I don't know. Weather, spring is here. It's been rainy the past few days. From the audience. No idea what why that's on there. Subscribers, email 62, YouTube 115 to 117. Like I said, at this rate, 2032, we're going to be killing it. Spotify. Oh, hell yeah. Spotify moved. I don't know what happened there, but Spotify went from 24 to 25. There we go. And then Apple sits at 22. So Spotify is beating Apple and has been the whole time, leading the race. And as always, please submit your questions to dennis@dennisfenridge.com. All right, from the audience. This was episode 28, Understanding Protein Powders. Wow, that was 3 episodes ago. Crazy. Understanding protein powders. If you remember, I was talking about protein powders in the beginning. I talked about dosages and stuff like that. And, I try not to get into recommendations. It's not hard to see what's going on out there. If you want to search the internet and find out recommendations, you can. But I had mentioned that there's a lot of fear mongering around taking too much protein and all this other stuff. And I'm not going to get into the history of where that came from, but it's nonsense. And somebody that had a kidney transplant and has to get dialysis messaged me. They said something, and here we go. Regarding protein and kidney health, I agree that there's no strong evidence showing that high protein intake harms healthy kidneys. That's what my nephrologist told me, and I'll share more data after my next appointment. So basically, this person's had a kidney transplant, and they have to go through dialysis, yes. Or dialysis patients. Yeah, I guess I don't have all the details here. I was assuming some things about what they had said. Let me just read and then I'll finish. Dialysis patients, however, are actually advised to increase protein intake because the process removes a lot of it from your body. I was told to aim for about 1.4 to 1.5 grams per kilogram. Meeting 1.5 kilograms is tough, especially when you also have to limit sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. After 5 years on dialysis, I've lost most of my muscle mass, which is why I've been struggling so much. But your help is really getting me back on track! ! And a smiley face. So that's cool. So basically, you got to eat more protein. And especially if you're on dialysis, because apparently it's getting pulled out of that process of going on that machine. It's pulling a lot of amino acids out of the body, which isn't good. You got to stay ahead of that, right? It's simple physics. If you want to add to, this is back in one of the first 13 podcasts that I put together. If you want to add to your body, you're going to have to exceed what you're losing. right? And so when you're on dialysis, you're exceeding that at that loss rate is high. So you're going to have to keep getting in more amino acids to stay ahead of that if you want to build, right? It's either going to go up or it's going to go down, and that's going to be based on your diet. So I thought that was pretty cool. And there was a question pertaining to water intake. If we're supposed to drink a gallon of water a day, why don't other drinks, I should be wearing my glasses, why don't other drinks like coffee count toward that? Coffee is mostly water, so shouldn't it still help us reach that goal? Same with juice. Isn't that just considered extra calories because of the sugars? Why does just water make a difference? Well, it doesn't. Your body's not silly. It knows what it's doing. And although coffee might be a diuretic, meaning it increases your urine, it increases water, expelling water, it doesn't exceed the amount that you're taking in, right? So you're still getting in water with that. You still end up at a net positive. So all fluid intake can count towards your water intake. And I would also say that it's not necessarily a gallon. You know, like if somebody weighs 100 pounds or somebody weighs 400 pounds, it doesn't mean everybody should be drinking a gallon. Generally speaking, half your weight in ounces is a general recommendation. And if you're exercising and sweating a lot, you should add to that. All right. So that was from the audience today. Give them some applause while I take a drink of water. No, I feel like I'm beating the liquid death horse. Okay, before we get started, exercise and nutrition are what matter most. Oh, yeah. So we're going to be talking about supplements. And listen, this is funny because I'm going to change my view slightly in the final thought. So this will be funny. You have to prioritize exercise and nutrition, okay? When you got those two things in place, then you want to start thinking about supplementation, all right? The supplements are just not going to have nearly as much of an impact as, hey, I go exercise, I stimulate tissue density, I stimulate cardiorespiratory conditioning or performance, right? So I'm teaching my body how to produce energy. I'm building tissue density through strength training. I'm doing mobility and moving so that my tissues don't get stiff and crappy and prone to injury. And I'm also, getting enough protein, enough calories, and sleeping and all those things. You're doing all those things, and then you want to dabble on or experiment around with these supplements because those three things are going to be the big players. They're going to have a much greater impact than taking a supplement, okay? Also, before we get started, only talking about what I know and have used. There's a ton of supplements out there. I'm not going to get into those because who could cover all of them? I have no interest in doing that. I like talking about the big stuff, exercise and nutrition. But that's what we're going to do today. And again, listen, if you're looking for some sort of detailed mechanistic explanation of supplementation, I ain't going to do it. I'm just going to have me some fun today. All right, let's get into this. My supplement regimen. Top of the list, baby. You know what it's going to be. Whey protein. I've been utilizing whey protein for 28 years. Whoa, I'm not dead. And apparently I look younger than I am. And I'm still out getting after it. And whey protein, baby. Get you some. Second, collagen protein. Boom. A little bit newer to the list, about 5 years. Third on the list. So again, I'm going to go through my list really quick, and then that way you know what we're going to be covering, and then I'll go into each one in a little bit of detail, okay? So whey protein, creatine, otherwise known as creatine, glutamine, lion's mane, magnesium. Let's get some out there for the magnesium, man. There you go. Vitamin D. Liver tablets. Love them. Got a little story about the liver tabs coming. I got Q-Best in here, which is actually the brand, but ubiquinol, otherwise known as CoQ10. Taking that for a while. On the retired list, we'll talk about why when we get there, fish oil, vitamin C, HMB. Oh, I did not put the full name on here because I wanted to say it. alpha hydroxymethylbutyrate, something like that. Nicotinamide, and then also retired nicotinamide riboside. We'll talk about why we retired those. We'll also talk about why we kept some of them. So what is that? 3, 6, 9. I'm currently taking 9 supplements. It's just wild. Like, again, if you were to ask me how I'm taking, I'd have said 3 or 4 for sure. It's 9. Life's weird like that. All right, here we go. The big hitters. I think I got these on one page. I got the big hitters on one page. Let's get into these. I can set this down here. Get my hands freed up, baby. The big hitters, whey protein. Like I already said, 28 years. Yeah, back when I was 21. You know, if you don't know, I was 15. I started lifting weights. There was a set of weights in the basement. I grabbed some of them. I took them up in my bedroom and I started lifting weights. I started off, I can still remember the routine, generally speaking. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, I knew it exactly, but I've forgotten it since I've rethought about it. Anyways, I would do some push-ups and then I did curls with because it was a dumbbell. I had the 2, remember the plastic weights? Anyways, did some curls, did some overhead extensions. That's about all I remembered. I thought there was 4 things. Okay. So I did that from 15 for a little bit. And then I started working out across the street with a friend of mine. We had a bench. I took my weights over there. Man, we were getting after it. Did that for 18 months. And I started working out in high school. Anyways, this took me to 21. And I've covered this before, but at 21 is when I got into nutrition. And so whey protein was immediately on the list amongst a bunch of other things. Like I was a supplement maniac. Of course, you're 21. You're like, how can I get jacked? Jack, boy. All right. So protein. Why? Why whey protein? Well, whey protein is one of the most bioavailable proteins in the world. And so what that means is for how much you take in, how much of that actually gets into your body and has function and is utilized. Whey protein, king. I think egg protein is pretty good too. So is beef. I mean, they're all really, really good. Whey's got some extra kickers with it. It boosts your glutathione levels, which I haven't said something like that forever because of just like you say these things and it's true. Whey protein does boost your glutathione levels. What are glutathione levels? That's your body's inbuilt antioxidant system. That is what's going around. Well, that's part of your antioxidant system. Cytochrome P450 or something like that is the actual system. There's a system that's got a name. Your antioxidant system has a name, and glutathione is one of the molecules that is used within that system. Okay. Now, you could say whey protein boosts your glutathione levels, but we don't really know how much of an impact it's having. We just know that it does. Kind of like taking, antioxidants. We don't really know how much of an impact it's actually having because you already have an antioxidant system in you. If you didn't, you'd be dead. And it's very effective. Again, because if you didn't, you'd be dead. So how much does taking berries and glutathione boosting and all that? Well, we don't really know, but it's probably good. Okay. So whey protein boosts glutathione levels. Fantastic. The company that I use, the brand that I use is Thorne. We carry it at the gym. It totally makes sense for me to use that company, but also I wouldn't carry it if I didn't believe in it. Thorne's been around a long time. I think that's valuable when you're talking about a supplement company. It's ran by scientists, which I think is also very valuable, and they put out a high-end product. Big hitter number 1, whey protein. Big hitter number 2, collagen protein. 2 supplements. I got 2 protein supplements. Let's go. Protein's so critical, man. I can't express it enough. Collagen protein. So about 5 years ago, somebody, my knees, I was doing a lot of CrossFit. My knees were always just kind of achy. And I saw a video, Dr. Rhonda Patrick said, hey, they took this collagen protein, they radioisotoped it, they fed it to, I don't remember what the animal was, but when they took the pictures, sure enough, that collagen, those amino acids, those proteins had went right to the joints, man. I'm like, you know what? Boom, start taking it, and lo and behold, my knees felt better. Now, before that, I had taken chondroitin and all these other supplements that are supposed to be good for that. I don't even remember what they are now, but chondroitin at the time was the big one. Never made any difference. So taking collagen protein, boom, immediately got better. I also think it's very, very good for your intestines. I think it's directly feeding pulling those peptides right into the intestinal line and rebuilding with that. That's what I think. I don't have any theory ideas. I don't have any science behind that. It's just my theory. Okay, so collagen protein coming up number 2. Been using it for 5 years. Helped my joints. Also believe it's involved in gut health. Now, I don't use the Thorne product on this because they add in nicotinamide riboside. I don't know why, but I'll save why I stopped taking that for the end of the podcast because I don't want to, that's what I'm going to talk about when I get there. So I took it. I experienced the same thing that I had when I used that supplement before, so I dropped it again, and I'll talk about that when I get there. So I use a company called Garden of Life. I think it's a very good company. They've been around a long time. You know, the thing about the collagen, like there's like 3 or 4 different top brands out there. If you're using it, you're probably thinking of yours right now. They're all sourcing from the same place. I've said this before. Nobody's going out, you know, Garden of Life didn't go out and build a collagen protein manufacturing facility. They didn't. They went to facilities that are already manufacturing it and bought it and put their label on it. That's how it works. Okay. So, but I like the Garden of Life. Different companies going to add in little different ingredients or whatever. Okay. Third on the big hitter list. Here we go. Creatine. It's actually creatine. But you got a byproduct in your body called creatine. Anyways, creatine, baby. Came out in 1997. I remember I was was it 97? It was before 2000. I think it was 97. I was at the gym. Never forget this. I think I just started using it, or the guy at the gym. There was a dude. This was it a Powerhouse gym in Canton and Ford Road? Anyways, like the real fit dude. I think it was a trainer. He definitely worked there. He was, I can remember him being behind the desk, but looked up to the dude. He was jacked, and he said, you know, somebody, hey, I've been using this creatine. This stuff's amazing. I remember it was pretty expensive when it first came out, and I still remember this. He took a scoop and put it in his mouth, and then washed it down with water because he's like, man, I don't waste any of this stuff. Like, he didn't want any of the residue being lost in the glass. That's how crazy this product was at the time. I mean, it literally, I started taking it back then, and it does the same thing every time. It puts immediately, I get 5 to 7 pounds heavier, and I get stronger, and I lean out a little bit. And so most of that is water. We go, oh, it's just water weight. Yeah, but it's water weight in the muscle, which is good, right? A hydrated muscle is going to be a good thing. And you're also getting more energy in there, right? So you're having more energy available. It's also good for your brain, right? So creatine is going to be, it's a molecule that's used in creating energy in your body. So every cell in your body is going to be able to utilize creatine to function better, right? If a cell's got what it needs to function optimally, well, that's optimal, man, right? So creatine, 28 years been taking the creatine. I got off it for like 3 years. I don't remember why. I probably had some thought about, well, maybe this isn't good. I'm taking this all the time. So I didn't take it for about 3 years. And then one day I thought, what in the world am I doing? Like, it might be, just an idea, it might be worse for you to work out without creatine, right? Your energy levels are subpar. I don't know. Just a theory. Creatine. What else we got in there? Muscular, involved in ATP production. Cover that. Energy, strength, muscle mass, brain function. Ton of studies done on Alzheimer's, brain function, testing people. They get smarter when they're on creatine. Brain works better. Why? Because there's more energy available in the cells. Cells can do what they need to do without restriction. Fantastic. Creatine. I do use Thorne because, again, it's right there. I just got to grab it. Great company. Most creatine, it's going to be fine. Plain creatine monohydrate. You don't need to get into the fancy, the whatevers, the micronized, the different stuff they're throwing in there. Creatine's the deal. There's no way they're really going to do anything, enhance it. They did show initially that taking it with carbohydrate might increase uptake. I don't know if that's still true. If you take it, your body knows what to do with it. Another thing about creatine, some people don't really respond to it. I don't remember what the numbers were. I read this years ago. It might have been a 3 to 5% of people just don't respond to creatine, probably because their levels are already met, right? So you have a limited amount of creatine your body can utilize. And so if that person is very efficient or they have a low storage capacity for creatine, well, they're just not going to be able to take it anymore, isn't going to do anything. But most people are going to have a very good response to that. A lot of stuff coming out about creatine too, megadosing and all this other stuff, man. That's new. You can play around with that if you want, but the 3 to 5, 7 grams a day, tried and true, been around forever. Can't go wrong there. Make sure you drink enough water. There's been a ton of studies done on the creatine, and one thing they did find, since it is pulling water into the muscle, If you're not drinking enough, you can get some cramping and some other things. Like I think it was cramping, stress on the kidney or something like that because it was getting a little dehydrated. Just drinking enough water, you're good to go. Been around a long time. I don't know anybody's ever died from taking creatine. Doesn't mean there haven't been. I just don't know nobody. Thorn product. Last big hitter, glutamine. Let's get some for glutamine. Been taking glutamine. What am I gonna? This is a 20-year deal. I'm not too sure when I started taking glutamine. Glutamine is what's called a conditionally essential amino acid. So you, depending on what's going on, most of the time you're going to have enough, but depending on the conditions, you could run out. Those conditions being like high intensity training, long duration training, a bunch of energy expenditure, being sick, coming out of surgery, your glutamine levels could be used up to try and run those processes. Same kind of thing here. I was taking glutamine for a long time. It's also very, very good for your gut health. Let me get into the what it's good for. Well, we got conditional essential, covered that. Exercise, it's good for exercise support and recovery, immune support, and gut health. Let me tell you my story first. It's more fun that way. So same kind of thing. Like I was taking glutamine for years and years. You know, I ran out one day. You know, I didn't bother to go get it anymore. And within a couple weeks, like my training just went, like it was harder to train, and I was not recovering the same. And I'm like, man, what's going on? Got back on the glutamine, good to go, right? Reason is when you do high intensity training, you're going to probably burn up your glutamine levels, right? That training is going to use those molecules up, and then you're out. And now if your immune system needs them and your guts need them, which they both do, now you're going to start to quote unquote suffer in those areas. And that's one of the things that long distance runners, marathon runners can experience, a lot of any kind of endurance work, any intestinal problems, right? They're getting diarrhea, they're getting, inflammation in their guts, and it's because, not the only reason, but one of the reasons, glutamine is the energy source used for the enterocytes in your intestinal lining, and if they don't have glutamine, well, they're running out of energy, they're not going to function as they need to, right? And one of the main things they need to do is die and replace themselves, then die, in that order. That's better. And if they can't do that because they don't have enough energy, enough glutamine available to supply their energy needs, that's going to be a problem. You're going to have intestinal issues. All right, then, bam, gut health, immune support, blah, blah, blah. And that's the deal. And cover that. Again, I use Thorn. Thorn is right there for me. I grab it. I'm good to go. Glutamine, I don't know enough to say, hey, there's going to be a big variance. I don't think it's quite like creatine, where like pretty much everybody's getting monohydrate. There's 3 or 4 facilities and everybody's getting it from there. There might be more variation in glutamine quality that I do not know. My suspicion would say no, but that might be something you want to look more into. I do recall I was taking glutamine. Thorn did not carry it. And then they did. And then I was surprised at the cost that Thorn's was higher than everybody else's. And so I reached out to them, and they did say something about, well, ours is X, Y, Z, and P, if that makes any sense. X, Y, Z. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense where the P came from, but you know what I'm saying. Magic chime fixes everything. So there could be some variance in there. I don't really know. It might be something you want to look into if you're going to start taking some glutamine. All right, those were the big hitters, guys. Now we're going to get into some of the more detailed stuff, and I'm going to have to read here because I went to the Google machine. It's been a minute since I've gone to the Google machine other than the protein powder. Let's talk about lion's mane. All right, so I take lion's mane basically, and then I'll read. I'll tell you why, and then I'll read it. I take lion's mane because I listened to a podcast with Paul Stamets. He was on Joe Rogan, and he just went on and on and on about mushrooms, man. And I've listened to the podcast a handful of times. It is very good. Now, I don't know what episode number it is, but Paul Stamets, Joe Rogan, mind-blowing episode. But he talked about lion's mane on there and how it helps synaptic growth in your brain. And I'm like, I need that. I definitely need that. And so I haven't stopped taking it since. I've run out here and there, but I really haven't stopped taking it. Do I know? This is one of those deals where I don't know if it's doing anything. How do you measure that? I can't measure my own synaptic growth. So I would have to, you just don't know. I think it's helpful. I believe it's helpful. It probably is because of those two reasons, but it's probably also doing something. I don't know the studies that were done, but I like it. I like taking it. Let me read on, then I'll tell you. Well, the brand, actually, let me cover a brand, then I'll read through this. The brand that I use is called OM, O-M. And I like OM because it comes in a powdered form and I can control how much I take. So if you look at the dosages on these, the amounts are going to matter, right? So say, hey, Lion's Mane, you look on the back and there's like 10 micrograms in there. Well, that's not enough to do anything. I'm taking 2 grams of the OM powder, Lion's Mane, when I do, which is into the, it's a good dose, man, right? Getting in the grams. So something to keep in mind when you're looking at the labels, how much Lion's Mane is actually in there, right? So it's going to be critical. And then I think it's the best bang for the buck. It's like 50 servings for $30 and you're getting 2 grams. I haven't seen anything come even close. So I think a lot of that is just because if they don't have to put it into a capsule, they're just saving on that whole process. You know, there's no bottle, there's no capsules being made, right? It's just it's in a bag, Ziplocs. You open it up, get your powder, good to go. Put it in my protein shake. Excuse me, post-workout. All right, here we go. Lion's Mane. Let's learn a little bit about Lion's Mane, since I don't know much. Lion's Mane mushroom offers a range of potential health benefits, particularly for your brain, immunity, and mood. It's rich in antioxidants, which we just talked about. It's rich in antioxidants, may help reduce inflammation, and could support nerve growth and repair. Research also suggests it may improve cognitive function, reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, and potentially support gut health. So basically, it does everything. Now, how they measured that, I don't know. Reading on brain health, Lion's Mane contains compounds like, I cannot say this word, compounds like Harrison ones. I have no idea what I just said. Harrison's ones. I'll spell it for you. Hericenones. It ends with a ones, that's for sure. Anyways, like those things in Aaron these words they're not in my vocabulary, that's for sure. That may provide nerve growth factor, potentially supporting cognitive function, memory, and focus. Mood support. Some studies suggest Lion's Mane may help to reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. Immune system. It may have a role in supporting the immune system and reducing inflammation. Nerve health. Lion's Mane may promote nerve growth and repair, potentially beneficial for nerve injuries or conditions like neuropathy. Gut health. Some research suggests it may support gut health by promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria. That's got to be a stretch. There's not enough compound. There's not enough material. You know what I mean? Anyways, anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Lion's Mane contains antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that may help protect against cell damage and reduce inflammation. Again, you already have an antioxidant system. It's doing a job. It's doing it well. Are these things that we take in from our food having a major impact? Is it a 1% boost? Is it a 10% boost? Is it even measurable, right? Because if it wasn't doing a good enough job, that would be a problem. That'd be a problem. Maybe taking supplements at certain points, like after exercise, is beneficial. Who knows? Other potential benefits. Okay, there's more, huh? Research also suggests potential benefits for blood sugar regulation, heart health, and even hair growth. Wow. These are a lot of claims for Lion's Mane. So that's Lion's Mane. I like it. I take it. I think it's helping my brain. All right, magnesium. Magnesium always needs to be highlighted because there's a pretty wide deficiency across people in, I believe, the world, but definitely the United States. I've heard numbers up to 80% deficiencies in the population for magnesium. It is definitely something that is worth supplementing. And I just wanted to highlight magnesium here. I use one form of magnesium. I used to take 2. There's a bunch of forms. I used to take multiple forms. Different forms are going to absorb better or worse. Generally speaking, the ones that end with 8 are better, but I think there's more advanced forms now that they've come up with. I use Thorne's bisglycinate, and that one's supposed to pass or get through the blood-brain barrier more efficiently and helps with my sleep. Okay. I do take it before bed, right before bed. I think maybe 30 minutes would probably be ideal, but I usually just drink it really quick right before bed. All right, so let's read about magnesium a little bit because, again, it is a very important supplement that people are deficient in pretty commonly. Magnesium is an essential mineral that plays a crucial role in various bodily functions, and studies suggest it offers numerous health benefits, including improved sleep, mood, and blood sugar control. Additionally, magnesium may help reduce the risk of certain diseases such as heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. And I think a lot of that has to do with, well, one, the blood sugar regulation, but also, two, magnesium is going to it plays in down regulating your nervous system. It's involved in that process. And so it's going to help you reduce tension in your body. Okay. A lot of us know how to create tension in our body, but we do not know how to reduce it. And magnesium can help with that. So let's go down the list here. Sleep quality. Magnesium supplementation, particularly magnesium L-threonate, has shown to improve sleep quality, including deep sleep and REM sleep, as well as daytime functioning. One thing about magnesium over lion's mane, magnesium is just going to be more studied than lion's mane, okay? Because the vitamins have been looked at for a very long time, years and years and years, decades. Where lion's mane is a little newer, so you're just not going to have you're not going to have the same depth in research on that. So I think these claims are probably going to be more, you could stand on them a little bit more strongly. Mood and mental health. Studies indicate that magnesium supplementation, especially when combined with vitamin B6, can significantly improve symptoms of depression and anxiety. Is it the B6 or the magnesium? Who knows? Blood sugar control. Magnesium supplementation may improve insulin sensitivity and reduce fasting blood sugar levels, which can be beneficial for individuals with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. You can also increase your insulin sensitivity with exercise. Moving. Cardiovascular health. Higher magnesium intake has been linked to a reduced risk of heart failure, stroke, and other cardiovascular events. And lastly here, other potential benefits. Magnesium may also help with bone health, muscle function, nerve conduction, and energy production. Let's go. Google AI, get it done. Sources. There's all kinds. Again, I already covered what I like, and yada and on and on. Okay, let's keep going. Vitamin D. How long have I been taking magnesium? I didn't say. I've been taking magnesium regularly for 5 years. Probably often. I've taken a multivitamin forever. I've gotten off the multivitamin, back on the multivitamin, but so it's been in multivitamins, but like specific, probably 5 years. Keep going. Vitamin D. I've been taking vitamin D for 5 years. I definitely take it in the winter. I don't always take it in the summer, maybe a smaller dose because I do get a lot of sun, typically 2 good days of a couple hours in the sun every week. Vitamin D, 5 years-ish. Yes, while often referred to as vitamin, did I write this? Oh, here we go. Yes, while often referred to as a vitamin, this is an interesting fact about vitamin D. Vitamin D is technically a prohormone, meaning it's converted into an active hormone within the body. This active form, calcitriol 1,25- dihydroxyvitamin D, dihydroxyvitamin D, secondary, plays a crucial role in regulating calcium and phosphate levels, impacting bone health, immune function, and more. So I learned that years ago. I always found that interesting. Vitamin D technically isn't a vitamin. It's a prohormone, which is used to build other hormones. And it is good. You do not want your vitamin D levels low. It will definitely affect your mood, your ability to build bone tissue. Vitamin D, almost every cell in your body has a vitamin D receptor on it, which indicates value, right? I take it mostly in the winter, and I use Thorne again because Thorne comes through with a bang for your buck on this one. They've got a drip, it's a drip. So basically it's liquid form, and it's like 600 servings in a bottle, and it's like $22 or something. It doesn't make any sense. It's basically free. Essentially, it's basically free. So, yeah, vitamin D. Keep going. Liver tabs. All right, I got a story on these liver tabs. So, my little reminder here says fat neck. For the longest time, for years, It seems to come and go lately. But my saliva glands were just swelled up. I mean, it had been that way for like 5 years. Sometimes they would get even hard, and I didn't know what it was. I asked I got a client's a doctor. I say, what are these things? Oh, those are saliva glands, and they would just be swelled up. And this was going on for, I don't even know. I mean, it was just noticed it one day. It had been that way for years. And I started taking liver tablets. And the weirdest thing, the swelling went down. And also, it was actually gone. It seems to be back a little bit, but it was gone. And for 2 months while I was taking these liver tablets, my tongue just felt like dried out. Like it was just had a weird feeling in my mouth. Like, like after you eat a banana, you get that film on your tongue. It was kind of similar to that. And this went on for like 2 months and then it went away. Also, the color of my tongue, after about a couple, 2-3 days of taking the liver tabs, turned into like a dark purple. And it's still that way now. Like there's way more blood in my tongue, which I don't know why. I can't explain it. I'll give you a theory in a second. So fascinating. Now the swelling's pretty much gone. I don't have the dryness anymore, and my tongue is still purple. So why? Who knows? But speculatively speaking, maybe I had some sort of molecule vitamin deficiency that was in the liver tab that could supplied in the right amount. And now whatever my beginning of my digestive system needed, got those nutrients that needed to function optimally, and bam, got itself straightened out and good to go. Just even thinking about it made my tongue dry out. Liquid death time. Long drag off that delicious can of liquid death. So that's what happened there. That's my story. That doesn't mean it's going to be your story, but that's what happened to me. So I take the liver tabs. I'm never going to stop taking those for the rest of my life. I use a company called Ancient Nutrition. So basically, these are compressed, grass-fed. I think there's more than one. I don't think it's just bovine. I think there might be a couple other versions of liver in there, but they compress them. It's not a tablet. It's no capsule. No, it is a tablet. Yeah. It's not a capsule. So it's compressed. It's hard. It's large. Take it. Good to go. Last on the keep going list, I believe after this, we get into the no longer in use. So last on here is coenzyme Q10. And I've been on and off the coenzyme Q10 for 15 years. Yeah, because that was back at Lifetime. I remember I was on a call with this really smart guy. Lifetime was bringing in James Laval, super smart dude. If you want to look him up. And he was helping roll out this new kind of philosophy on nutrition and these different supplements that we were going to have access to. I was on a call with this guy, group call, and he was talking about this product right here from Thorne called Q Best. And what they had done is they had increased the bioavailability of coenzyme Q10. Now, coenzyme Q10 is a enzyme on the electron transport chain. Otherwise, ETC, short for that is ETC. So electron transport chain, basic biology. You have this thing inside your cells called a mitochondria, and that mitochondria is creating energy. And so coenzyme Q10, did I put the full name on here? I did not. Maybe that is it. Is an enzyme on that electron transport chain that creates the energy. So if you got that in full supply, again, if you're not limiting the availability of that enzyme, theoretically, you're going to have more energy. Now, it is not going to be, maybe it is, it's not going to be like creatine. Like creatine is the king, right? When you're talking about like energy production, no doubt creatine, been around for 30 years, studied in and out all over the place, does what it says it's going to do. Coenzyme Q10, are you going to feel a bump in energy? I feel like I do a little bit, could be placebo, but I do think there is value there. Energy production, it does say also it has antioxidant properties. Again, back to my point, do we know how much? I don't know. One thing for sure though, certain medications as your liver processes certain medications, it chews up and needs coenzyme Q10 to do that. And so they do actually recommend supplementing with it based on if you're on these certain medications. I don't know what they are. Again, we're not getting into all the details of everything. And I use Thorn Q Best. So that's my list of what I take and why I take it and how long I've taken it. But we've got a short list of retired here. And now there's obviously supplements that I've taken that I just don't remember. But these are the 4 that I can remember. And one of them is going to surprise you for sure. And it's the first one on the list here. And it is fish oil. Now, you talk to anybody, everybody knows fish oil is good for you. And I am not going to argue that. I took it for over 20 years. But something weird started to happen. And this was, to me at the time, this was unrelated. I didn't know, okay? But man, every time I worked out, now I was doing a lot of working out. Don't get me wrong. What was I doing? I was riding my bike twice a week, and I was squatting with weight twice a week, a heavy day and a higher rep day, and I was riding my bike twice a week. This is about 2 years ago. Now, I don't know why I was doing all that. I don't know why. I got a hankering for some biking and some squatting, and it didn't matter. But it didn't matter what I did. Even if I just got on the rower and started exercising, my knees would just immediately swell up. I could feel fluid in my knees. Now, I was using them like crazy. About that same time frame, I've always been into learning about whatever, nutrition and exercise, and I was following a guy named Chris Masterjohn. This guy's got his master's. He's got his PhD in nutritional sciences. He's brilliant when it comes to nutrition and he pretty much knows what every single molecule is doing and all the interactions and all the downstream stuff. And what he was talking about, coincidentally, I came across this, he was talking about how I can't remember if it's the EPA or the DHA or one of the other things, one of these things can kind of build up over time and it can throw off your inflammatory processes and cause the thing that people take it for, which is reduction in inflammation. It can actually cause increased inflammation because this molecule gets built up in there. And I don't remember all the details. But I stopped taking it and my knees stopped swelling up. And about 4 or 5 or 6 months later, I wasn't even doing all that work anymore. I started taking it again and the swelling came right back. And I remember what he was teaching was basically this tipping point. And I just think I had accumulated because I used to take some high dose fish oil. There was a time there when high dose fish oil was, people were just talking about it and people were experimenting around with it. Traumatic head injuries. They were putting some people on high dose fish oil and helping with recovery and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh man, it must be good. And I would take like 10 to 15 grams a day. So I probably did cause this accumulation of the whatever. And now, like if I take it, it just kind of keeps tipping me over. So I think I got to stay off it for 2 or 3 years, kind of bring those levels down a little bit, and I'll be good to go. But I think fish oil is solid. I'm not trying to scare anybody off it. I'm just telling you my experience. Just watch quantities and your inflammation levels. Brain is very beneficial for your brain and nervous system function because EPA and DHA are 2 molecules that are found in high concentrations in your brain and your nervous system tissue, okay? You need it. You need to have those levels in a good place. And it's very helpful for your inflammatory system. Okay, another one came off the list here. Retired, vitamin C. I took high-dose vitamin C for 15 years because it was associated with better connective tissue formation. And I was lifting heavy weights and getting crazy with the training, and I wanted my connective tissue to be on point. So I took 3 grams a day for years, and then I cut that dose down to like a gram, and then I cut it down to like 500 milligrams, so half a gram. And then some stuff came out from the same guy, Chris Masterjohn. He's like, hey, vitamin C might be bogging down your mitochondrial function, your energy production, and he goes down the pathways. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really know if this is doing anything. I can't measure it, so I dropped the vitamin C. But it is in your connective tissue. It is supposed to be good for it, and it can potentially affect energy production. According to Chris Masterjohn, Third on the list of retired, nicotinamide riboside. Here we go. Okay. Now, this is totally anecdotal in my experience. This molecule is in your cell, and I used to know it fairly well and I could speak to it, but there's different levels, and you want the levels to be in a certain place, and they're getting moved around, and they're supplying something for energy, nicotinamide riboside and NMR, or NMM and NMR. So one's a precursor to the other. But anyways, it's a molecule that helps with energy. And the idea was that, hey, you take this molecule and you're going to have better energy production in the mitochondria. So I've taken it, and no doubt that when I take CoQ10 and I take nicotinamide riboside, my energy production gets better. Undoubtedly. I've done this. I've been on and off it a handful of times. And every time it's like, by the third day, I'm like, I am not getting tired. Like, what would normally, because I work out all the time. I'm working out for 30 years. I know when I do these things on a day like today, I should expect it to feel this way. And I take this supplement and I'll be in the middle of a workout, like, not even breathing. Like, what is going on? So significantly impacts my energy levels. But what I noticed was it was drying out my joints like nobody's business. I mean, the elbow and knee pain that I was experiencing was ridiculous. I mean, just cracking, snapping. I couldn't even do the ski erg because it hurt so bad to grab the ski erg and try and warm up. And so I stopped taking it. I thought, what have I changed? This is what I changed. I stopped taking it, and 3 days later, all the joint pain's gone. A month later, I'm like, let me try that again. I get back on it, and 4 days later, the joint pain's coming back. Actually, no, that's not what happened. I didn't start taking it again. Back to the Thorn collagen. They put it in the Thorn collagen. I don't know why. So they must have found out that it is doing something in the joint. But for me, this doesn't mean it's going to have the same effect for you. It was just causing this drying of my joints. I mean, they would just crack. It was not exciting. It was exciting to be able to crush metcons and beat people, but it was not exciting to feel that kind of pain on a regular basis. So it doesn't mean it's going to do that for everybody. That's why I dropped the nicotinamide riboside, and why I had to not use the collagen protein from Thorn, because they're putting, it's like 150 milligrams, 125 milligrams in there, which was a smaller dose. I didn't think it'd have an impact, but it did. All right. Lastly, HMB. I should have wrote that down. I don't remember the exact name on that. Methyl hybridurate or something like that. So years ago, in my 20s, I started taking HMB. It's still around. You can still get it. It was developed to help cattle maintain their tissue during transport, because what they were finding was they took these cattle on, they put them on a truck, and if they didn't move for like 2 weeks during transport, well, they would lose a lot of muscle tissue. And if you're selling cattle to sell their beef, well, that's not good. So somebody figured out this metabolite from an amino acid called HMB would preserve muscle tissue. It worked. I'm not sure if farmers are still using that, but that was in the 20s, back when I was in my 20s, so a long time ago. And so some bodybuilder was like, well, man, if it's good for cows, it's got to be good for bodybuilders. So yeah, I took it for a while. It definitely worked. I don't use it anymore just because, whatever. I'm not that, I don't need to take every supplement out there. But I do believe it has value. It's been around a long time. If it was hurting people, it would have been gone by now. So anyways, that's HMB. And that's it. That's the list of no longer in use. All right, final thoughts. Oh yeah, I'm going to pull a switch on you right here. Supplements are great after you exercise, eat enough calories and protein, and sleep 8 to 9 hours. Get your supplement on. But as I'm putting these final thoughts together yesterday, it occurs to me, if you're not going to do all those things, creatine is still going to be beneficial. Lion's mane is still going to be beneficial. Glutamine is still going to be beneficial. Protein will help you get your protein intake up. So yesterday, I shift my position on supplements a little bit, because I realized, well, if somebody's not going to take the supplements because they're also not going to exercise enough and eat enough and get the nutrition dialed in, well, why should we not do something that could be good because we won't do the other things, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? I'm not saying that exactly clearly, but you get my point, right? Like, not taking creatine because you haven't got your nutrition in line is silly. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You should definitely take creatine, especially if your nutrition isn't in line, right? Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be as effective or have the same impact as good nutrition. It's not, but it's still going to be better to take creatine or a protein powder if your nutrition isn't 100% on point right now. So I've changed my position on that as of yesterday. And that's what's great about being human. You can actually update your thinking and get a new view. And yesterday I did that, and I'm thankful for that. Next episode, book. We're going to get into that book that was recommended, The 5 Appetites. Okay. I believe I also have another question that came in. We'll get that question answered. But I'm going to pick that book back up. I already pulled it off the shelf. I'm going to read a chapter or two this week, and we're going to talk about the book, The 5 Appetites, because there is a super critical, that means it's really important piece of information in there that if you're not prioritizing protein intake at this point in your life because you haven't heard me hammer it enough, well, we're gonna show you from a scientific perspective just how critical it is. It is covered in that book. It's a simple book, but it's a powerful book. And that is the plan for next week. Help us grow. Okay, somebody digs. We got a new Spotify subscriber. Help us grow. Do you know someone who is interested in supplements? Well, they might be interested in hearing about my experience with supplements. Share this podcast with them. That'd be fantastic. Like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And as always, please submit your questions to dennis@dennisfenrich.com. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you following along. More people, I'm getting more feedback at the gym. People are coming, hey, I actually finally started listening and saying it's good stuff. They're getting value out of it. I appreciate it. I need to hear that because what do I know? I'm just talking and throwing it out there. So I appreciate the feedback. Appreciate you guys listening and following along. And that's a wrap, guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you in 7. Bye.